Okay, I thought I'd make a little video quick, kind of going over the various tractors, because I don't even know if people realize what's here. The most popular is obviously this turbo tractor. There's been a few videos about it, and I had that whole build up. It's not done. There's going to be a major change to this soon, whenever I get the time from doing other projects. But in case you don't know about it, this is a roughly 1966 Cub Cadet 123 hydrostatic. It originally had a 12 horsepower Kohler flathead in it. It now has a Chinese diesel, 10 horse single cylinder diesel with a turbocharger. As you can see right there. This is the turbo that if you Google it on eBay or search for it on eBay, it's just labeled small turbocharger. I don't know what model, just people keep trying to name it's a different car turbo. It's not a car turbo. I come to realize I think it's probably even too small for this motor. It's for like a 400cc engine. I think I'd actually be choking this motor out. But that's what this thing is. It's operational. The drivetrain shakes, and the hydrostatic drive is garbage. But, you know, it is what it is. But right now it's operational, so I'm leaving it alone. This is one of the tractors I actually use. It's a late 70s Cub 1450 hydro. It has a 50-inch deck, which I use, and has a plow right there. Oh, race car is coming. Bikes. Anyway. So this has a 14 horse, I think. Yeah, 14 horsepower Kohler flathead in it. The side panels I took off so I can turn the fuel on and off here, and sometimes you gotta hit the starter. But this thing works fantastic. It has hydraulic lift. I have these ag tires on it, these John Deere wheel weights. They're 75 pounds a piece. Before winter this year, I'm going to try and fill the tires with washer fluid for more weight for plowing. This one I actually use. I'll paint it up one day. But right now, everything works on it fine, and mechanically, it's great. No issues. So yeah, that's that. This is my John Deere 110 round fender, which we bought the house. Same thing, mechanically, it's fine. The tires go flat, but I think this thing should have narrow front tires on it. I'm not a real purist to know what belongs on here. But this has an 8 horsepower Kohler flathead in it. There you go there. And these older tractors have these starter generators, which look like a generator off like a 50s car. And they're both, like I said, the starter and the generator. So to start the tractor, it acts like a starter. There's a belt that goes from the flywheel here, or the pulley on the flywheel, up to the starter generator. And then once you're running, belt turns it, and that's what generates the charging power. But this one is a 4-speed manual, has a creeper gear, and these John Deeres have a variator, it's called, which is this lever here. And this will actually vary the gear ratio when you're already in a gear. So if you put it, say, in second, or whatever that is there, then you're crawling at a certain speed. If you move this forward, it'll make it go faster without shifting the gear. So you can kind of dial in the speed. This works like by varying the size of 2 pulleys in the belt. So yeah, that's kind of a neat feature. So you can cruise around the yard just the right speed. But this thing works and everything too. No issues here. Same thing, just needs some cosmetic work and some front tires. This thing's good to go. Starts right up. Has a cracked hood, which is the worst thing about it. But these are fiberglass. Over here is my 1968 or 69 maybe Cub 125 hydrostatic. This is the first Cub I bought it at an auction because it was it's in beautiful condition. I don't really use this for anything because it has no deck, but I don't know, just kind of have it. The only thing with this is it doesn't charge, which I didn't know when I bought it. I have another generator off of that one, and I have another voltage regulator, so one of these days I'm going to dick with it and see if I can get it to charge. But this thing, aside from being dirty, is in really nice shape. There's a few little nicks on it here and there, but someone already restored this. You can see it's pretty clean. Rear tires are dry rot. I did put new front ones on it because they were going flat too. But that's all it's in this building, so let's go up to the other buildings. Here's a mid to late 70s John Deere 112. This such doesn't belong to me. It belongs to someone else who wanted me to get it running for him. They got it out of a barn. It was sitting there for a long time, but the motor, turns over, so it should run. Had a deck on it, but he robbed it for another project. But this thing's kind of worn, but supposedly it'll work if I just do, do the basics to it. But I'm not sure if he still wants this or not, because he kind of abandoned it here and said, "I get to it when I get to it," or if I just inherited it. But it's the same as the other John Deere, where it has the manual trans and the variator. Except this one has a 10 horse, I believe, possibly a 12, and it look. But same thing, Kohler flathead, like all these tractors. Has these vintage freaking turf tread Firestones on it, or Goodyear tires. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I'll get it running for him, see if he wants it. If not, I'll find something to do with it. This one is a, I don't know, 80s maybe, Simplicity. This I'm not normally into. It's a vertical shaft, which is more of a lawn tractor. That means the crankshaft goes like this, where all the other tractors I showed, the crankshaft's on a horizontal angle, like all the like cars are for the most part. But when they're vertical shaft, they just have a belt going from the motor to the transmission. So they aren't really as heavy duty. But this thing was listed for $25 on Craigslist. So I quick grabbed it on my lunch break at work because the motor runs. And it's a 16 horse flathead twin, opposed twin, Briggs & Stratton. So the motor was worth like 4 or 8 times what I paid for the tractor. So I'm just going to pull the motor out and probably scrap this thing because it has a bad transaxle. I'm not really into how it looks. I guess I'm making like a go-kart out of it, but I don't know. I'm not really into the style of it. So I just kind of got parked here. I'm going to get it running in the tractor just to make sure the motor runs. He said it did. Just had a blown trans. And then I'll probably just scrap the rest of the tractor. Here's my 2003, I think it is, John Deere 160. This is what I actually usually mow with. I had this at my old house, but when we bought this house has much more yard. And it only has a 42-inch deck. So it takes a long time to mow. But it's kind of a trade-off because it moves and maneuvers a lot faster than the Cub does with the 50-inch deck. So I kind of use them both depending on the mood. But yeah, this is just my modern whatever tractor. No issues here. And then over here, last but not least, is this little tiny 8 horsepower Yardman that I started working on years ago, and then it's kind of got pushed in the corner here. But it originally had an 8 horsepower vertical shaft flathead Briggs in it. And now it has an 18 horsepower opposed twin Briggs & Stratton, which the motor is physically mounted, but I haven't hooked any of the pulleys up and stuff. I just got this. This was like physically the smallest tractor I've ever seen. Kind of telling the video, well, if you're familiar with what these little red wagons are in length, you can see the tractor is not terribly much longer. When I sit on it, my feet are on the front axle. And I just put the biggest motor I had laying around into it. So this will be another, somebody else will work on this thing again. But yeah, that about covers the current tractor supply. So now you know what's sitting up here and the things I'm not working on.